The middle path was born from the personal journey of Siddhartha Gautama, a prince from the Shakya clan who lived during the 6th century BCE. After encountering the harsh realities of human suffering, old age, sickness and death, he renounced his royal life in pursuit of spiritual enlightenment. Siddhartha initially sought answers through intense asceticism, a common practice among spiritual seekers of his time. He subjected himself to extreme fasting and bodily discipline, believing that detachment from physical pleasures would lead to liberation. However, after years of severe austerities, Siddhartha realized that this path was not leading him to true understanding. His body was weakened and his mind clouded. In this moment of insight, he understood that neither a life of luxury nor one of self-torture could bring about true peace. This realization led him to adopt what he later called the middle path, a balanced and moderate approach to spiritual practice and daily living. This pivotal understanding occurred just before his enlightenment beneath the Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya, where he attained a state of awakening and became the Buddha. The middle path and the Four Noble Truths. Following his enlightenment, the Buddha travelled to Sarnath, where he delivered his first sermon in the Deer Park. Here he laid out the Four Noble Truths, which form the foundation of all Buddhist teaching. He began by acknowledging the reality of suffering in human life and identified its root causes. He then spoke of the possibility of the cessation of suffering, and finally he revealed the path that leads to this liberation, the middle path. The middle path is more fully expressed through what the Buddha called the Noble Eightfold Path. This path outlines a way of living that encompasses moral conduct, mental discipline and wisdom. It serves as a practical guide for individuals seeking to free themselves from the cycle of suffering and attain nirvana or spiritual liberation. The Noble Eightfold Path, is truly the embodiment of the middle way. The Eightfold Path offers a comprehensive framework for ethical and mindful living. It encourages individuals to develop clear understanding and intention, to speak and act truthfully and compassionately, to engage in honourable work, and to cultivate mental discipline through effort, awareness and concentration. These aspects of life are not to be pursued in isolation, but are meant to work together in harmony, forming a holistic path toward awakening. The middle path, as embodied in this framework, is not a rigid doctrine, but rather a living practice. It invites individuals to explore balance in every aspect of life, fostering a journey of self-awareness and compassionate engagement with the world. While the middle path was distinctly emphasized by the Buddha, its underlying principle of moderation and balance resonated with broader themes in Indian philosophy. Ancient Vedic texts and the later Upanishads also explored the nature of the self, the pursuit of truth, and the importance of detachment from material desires. However, the Buddha's approach was uniquely practical and experiential. He moved away from the ritualistic and caste-based frameworks of Brahmanical tradition, and instead offered a path that was accessible to all, regardless of social status. The middle path stood in contrast to both the hedonism of palace life and the extremism of asceticism. It offered a third alternative, a way to live in the world without being consumed by it. This approach had a profound impact on other Indian philosophical systems, including Jainism, Samkhya, and Yoga, which began to incorporate ideas of balance, ethical living, and self-discipline into their own teachings. Throughout Buddhist literature and iconography, the middle path is often illustrated through metaphors that emphasize balance and harmony. One well-known example is the analogy of the lute string. If the string is too tight, it breaks. If too loose, it does not produce sound. Similarly, the path to spiritual awakening requires a balanced approach, not too rigid, not too lax. Another common image is that of a traveller crossing a river. The traveller must navigate skillfully between the dangers of being swept away by the current and the temptation to remain on the familiar shore. These symbolic representations help convey the subtle wisdom of the middle path, making it easier for people from all walks of life to understand and, well, apply it in their own spiritual journeys. Social and cultural impact. The middle path significantly shaped the religious and cultural landscape of ancient India. One of its most important contributions was, well, the promotion of religious tolerance and philosophical openness. In contrast to dogmatic belief systems, Buddhism encouraged questioning, dialogue, and personal exploration. This intellectual openness, fostered an environment where diverse schools of thought could flourish side by side. Ethically, the middle path introduced a framework for moral conduct based on compassion, change, role, truthfulness, and non-violence. Change, role. These values deeply influenced Indian ethical philosophy and honestly continue to resonate in Indian society today. The emphasis on right livelihood and honest action contributed to shaping ideas about social responsibility and personal integrity. The rise of Buddhist monastic communities also brought about significant changes in Indian education and culture. Monasteries such as Nalanda and Vikramashila became centers of learning where monks studied not only Buddhist scriptures, but also subjects like philosophy and science.